Hello YouTube, welcome back to another lesson on biology and geology. Today we are going to start with Unit 6, Vertebrate Animals. I hope you like this unit. These animals are very famous. When we think in an animal, probably we will think in a vertebrate animal, because most of our pets, the animals in a farm, animals that we see or we are surrounded by in our cities, are vertebrates. We know them very well, but I hope you learn more about these animals. In this image, you can see a T-Rex. I think it's a cool way to show one of these animals. This distinguished species, dinosaur. Some of you probably you know a lot of them. You like dinosaurs, so this is a good example of a vertebrate, because we can see this fossil skeleton with the spinal column made by vertebrae, and here you can see this spinal column, which is the main feature, the main characteristic of this group of animals. Good. So vertebrates are the best understood group of living things. We know them very well. We have been studying them since ages, since the dawn of humanity, because we use them. We use them for food, for what else? The leather and the fur. We use them. Okay, so we have learned about them and study them, because that's very useful for the farms and our lives. Okay, so they have the most complex organization. We have seen very simple animals like jellyfish, for example, of a porifer, but vertebrates are the most complex animals. Also, people usually has a lot of familiarity with vertebrate animals. As I told you, farm animals and animals in our pets are usually vertebrate animals. Humans are vertebrate animals, so we are included. We belong to this group, and that's one of the reasons we know them very well, because we are part of them. You cannot see this in your book, but I would like to start the unit with just naming the groups of vertebrate animals, that they are very diverse. We can think in a bird, we can think in a frog, and both are very different. But all of them belong to the same group. This group is called the phylum Chordata. This group is what we call the vertebrate animals. And all of these animals appeared in planet Earth from one ancestor, one invertebrate ancestor that produced this kind of skeleton, okay, with a spinal column protecting a nervous cord. Protegiendo, esta columna vertebral protege un cordón nervioso. And that will be the first vertebrate. The first vertebrate, it will develop itself, or it will change during the centuries and millions of years, and it will become a what we call now a fish. Okay, the first fishes. These fishes were very primitive, but little by little, generation by generation, they will eventually get the characteristics that we know nowadays, ¿no? Durante la evolución irán adquiriendo los peces primitivos las características de los peces actuales. After the fishes, the next group of vertebrates are the amphibians. The amphibians, like the frogs, they can live outside of the water and they can breathe by lungs. Okay, also by the skin, but they have lungs. Then, and in this time, it's when we can see the four limbs, ¿no? Las cuatro extremidades, donde aparecen los cuatro extremidades con los anfibios. From a group of amphibians, a new group of animals will appear, which is the reptiles. Reptiles appeared here very early, 300 million years ago, and they will expand during the Mesozoic, during the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous ages. During this time, they get a huge size. This group is what we call the dinosaurs, okay, a type of reptile. One group of, well, during the Triassic age, the first mammals appear. Entonces, durante el Mesozoico, en la primera era, que es el Triásico, ya hay grandes reptiles, aparecen los dinosaurios y también aparecen los primeros mamíferos. They were very little animals, and they will survive among the dinosaurs during these ages. One group of dinosaurs, very similar to the Velociraptor, they became into a new group, which are birds. Okay, so birds are the last group that appeared, the last group of vertebrates that appeared in the earth. And here you can see the geological time scale. Okay, this is the Mesozoic, and the Triassic is the first age, the first period of the Mesozoic, then the Jurassic, and then the Cretaceous. So first mammals and first dinosaurs appeared here. After the Cretaceous, at 65 million years ago, this is when the extinction of dinosaurs take place. So during the tertiary, the mammals diversify a lot. Cuando desaparecen los dinosaurios que dominaban los continentes, entonces los mamíferos ya no tienen estos competidores y pueden desarrollarse. So during the tertiary, we can see the huge mammals that we can think of. For example, the mammoth, the saber tiger, I think it's called, saber tooth, el dientes de sable, el mamut, or the elephant, for example, no? Big mammals that they developed during the tertiary. And also these kind of dinosaurs, which are the birds, they survive this extinction, and also they develop a lot during the tertiary. And during the quaternary is when we can see the evolution of human beings. Good. So now we have seen a lot of different kind of vertebrates, from birds, amphibians, reptiles, mammals, and birds. All of them are very different, but they belong to the same group, the phylum Chordata. Which are these characteristics that they share to belong to this group? Okay, so first of all, they are multicellular with tissues and organs. This is a characteristic that is the same for all the animals. Okay, multicellular with tissues and not all of them has organs, but this group, that is very complex, this phylum has organs. Okay, this is the main characteristic here. Also, they have bilateral symmetry. Okay, here now you know already what does it mean. Here you have a turtle. You can split it in half through this plane, the sagittal plane, and we can see that this is a symmetrical plane because it chopped in half, in two parts, this turtle, and both sides are identical, basically, or at least very similar. Another characteristic of the body is that is divided in three parts: head, trunk, and tail. From the trunk, some limbs, algunas extremidades, están conectadas. Some vertebrates have different limbs, adapt to different functions. Some vertebrates don't have limbs. And also some vertebrates don't have a tail or is very short. But usually we can distinguish these three parts: head, trunk, and tail. Okay, the most important feature of vertebrate animals is that they have an internal skeleton. Internal skeleton. You need to write an L here. What are the functions of this skeleton? It supports the body. It enables to or allow them to move, because these muscles have these joints, tienen estas articulaciones, and the bones are connected with muscles. So thanks to the contraction of the muscles and these joints, the skeleton allow the animal to move. Okay, so that's very important for movement, but also it protects the organs. The skull, el cráneo, it protects the brain, and the spinal column protect the spinal cord, la médula espinal. The spinal column is the most important part of the internal skeleton, or is the most characteristic feature of the vertebrate animals, because, as you know, some invertebrates can have a sort of internal skeleton, but they don't have spinal column. So this is the main characteristic, and this spinal column protects the spinal cord, and is made by vertebrae, which are these little bones joined together that allow the column to move. Están articulados unos con otros, unas vértebras con otras, y eso permite a la columna el poder moverse. Other characteristic, which is very interesting, is that vertebrate animals have limbs, tienen extremidades, that they can present different shapes adapted to different functions. For example, this is the forelimb of a turtle, okay, that is adapt to creep, to crawl under the surface, de arrastrarse, de moverse por la superficie terrestre. A dolphin, you can see by these colors that they have the same bones, but the shape has been modified to to adapt the movement to the function, which is swimming in this case. Okay, the horse, or they have the same bones, but the function of this limb is to run. The human arm, as you can see, it's very different. The function usually is to catch or to take objects, right? A bird has the same bones, but they are adapted to fly. Okay, they have wings, tienen alas, and a bat also has wings, but they have a different shape. You can see the bat doesn't have feathers, not in a plumas, and the wing is made by a membrane between the fingers. These are the fingers of the bat, right? However, the fingers of the bird has been reduced a lot, and the wing is made by feathers. Está hecho de plumas. Good. So these are some examples. The other characteristic is that the vertebrate animals have a very well developed nervous system. They have a lot of sensitivity. That means that they can detect a lot of changes in the environment because they have very well developed sense organs. Los animales tienen una gran sensibilidad para detectar cambios en el medio porque tienen órganos de los sentidos muy desarrollados. And they are connected to a nervous system that is very complex, and you can divide it in three main parts. They have a brain, okay, that it's in the head and protected by the skull, está protegido por el cráneo. Then they have a spinal cord that moves around along the body, along the back of their bodies. Tienen un cordón nervioso, una médula espinal, which is protected by the spinal column. And from this spinal cord, there are some nerves that connect every muscle, every tissue of the body with this central nervous system. And that allows them to move, to contract the muscles, and to move and respond to the different stimuli. Okay, so, and they are quite intelligent. Some animals are very intelligent, like some monkeys and chimps, gorillas, dolphins. Usually mammals, pigs, cows, dogs, cats are quite intelligent. Reptiles and birds, usually they don't have, or fishes, they are not so intelligent that the mammals. But they have a very well developed nervous system, and the sensitivity is even better than humans. I mean, they can see, or they can hear, or they can smell much better, hundreds of times sometimes, better than human beings. Well, and to end the lesson, we have the classification of vertebrate animals. I have named them already, but just to take a look, we have the group of fish, right? Fish, they are aquatic, they breathe by or through gills, and they have fins as limbs to swim. And it's the first group that appears on Earth. Then we have the amphibians. Amphibians, they can live outside of the water, but they need to stay close to them. They need to have a humid skin because they can breathe by lungs and the skin. And they suffer a process of metamorphosis. Then we have the reptiles. There's a large variety of reptiles. Here you can see a chameleon, but you have dinosaurs, you have crocodiles, and turtles, and all of them are very different. But basically, they they are terrestrial animals, and they are born from eggs. Okay, just to name some characteristics. Also, we have mammals, which is the next group that appeared, and they breathe by through lungs because they are terrestrial animals. Some can live in the water, like whales and dolphins, but they need to breathe through lungs. They need to take air from the atmosphere. And also, we have birds. The last group, they evolved from some type of dinosaurs, and the main characteristic is that the body is covered with feathers and they can usually fly. We will see in the next lessons the characteristics of all of these groups. And that's all. I hope you enjoy the lesson. If you have any questions, as always, you can ask me by email, Moodle. You can leave a comment on YouTube. You can subscribe. And see you in the next lesson. Bye.